So have you ever dealt with like a confirmed brown recluse bite working in like the ER or the hospital? Brown recluse? Brown recluse? Brown recluse.
It's showtime.
Well, there it is. And wow, we have not seen one of these on my channel for quite some time. I just want you to see how absolutely scary this brown recluse is. Oh my gosh, see, look, watch. I'm putting my finger in there, leaving my finger in there. What if I poked it? Poked it, poke. I'm moving this around. Ooh, scary brown recluse. It's running, it's trying to escape. It's gonna bite me, it's gonna bite me. Okay, enough of that. I'm trying to film. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to, you're fine. Was that necessary at all? You guys, my chickens are huge. Like, look how big my chicks are. They're really loud. So we're just gonna hear chickens today. I have an entire playlist about brown recluse. I personally love making videos about brown recluse, but I haven't made an updated video in years. And part of that is because there really isn't much else for me to say. I feel like I've covered the topic extensively. Like, I've shared this book. It's one of my favorite books, and it's all about the brown recluse spider by Richard S. Vedder, and I even have an autographed copy that he sent me as a thank you for spreading his word about the brown recluse. If you live in this red area right here, you probably have brown recluse in your home. You might not see them, but they're probably there. So, you know, you're never alone. But yeah, so the reason why we're talking about it today is because there are so many news articles that have just been coming out about the brown recluse, and to my surprise, what is going on here? You can imagine I was pretty surprised when I saw that the brown recluse are actually getting decent like media coverage, and I don't know why. What happened when a Kansas family lived with 2,055 brown recluse spiders for 5.5 years. This is an IFL Science article. Once they are in your home, they can be pretty difficult to shift, spending a lot of their time hiding inside furniture and other small spaces within your house. This is true. Our apartment was crawling with brown recluse, and I honestly didn't see them unless I was really looking for them most of the time. There was this incident though where I was helping Fiona brush her teeth, and I was like leaning up against the counter, and you know, we're brushing our teeth, whatever, and then I like walk away, and then I look down and there is a smushed brown recluse. Yeah, I guess it was on the counter, and I like leaned and smushed it. So, but yeah, I've actually caught females that are making egg sacs, and once they mate, they can lay, I believe, up to 7 egg sacs after mating. So I'm sure you can imagine how many spiders that is. Just having one gravid female in your home, you're just gonna end up with so many of them. So like, it's easy to have thousands of them in your house. I'm not surprised by this article at all. They are long-lived, can survive many months without feeding, and females only need to mate once to produce offspring throughout their lives. All facts, all facts. They are insanely prolific breeders. They don't really eat often. They don't need any sort of like water. I mean, seriously, just this simple setup that I made for this wild one, it's genuinely like, it's fine. This is crazy. This is like enough space. It'll survive in here for a very long time without even feeding and watering it. Like, I mean, they are just amazing at survival. So it says for 5.5 years, they would see spiders moving around the house, but in the summer of 2001, the family finally realized that the spiders they were seeing were Loxosceles reclusa. So they didn't even know they were living around the brown recluse. Most of the time when people send me pictures of a spider, I'd say like 90% of the time it's not a recluse. It's a wolf spider. It's some other, like, it's a false widow. It's like almost never a recluse. Even in the areas where they are just like very endemic and common, I still rarely get an actual picture of a brown recluse. And it's not because they're not in their house. I mean, they probably are. It's just because they're very good at hiding. They're very reclusive. So anyway, this whole article, it's very interesting, and it just goes on to say that despite them living with thousands of brown recluse in their home, they suffered 0 bites. So this bit right here is really cool. Considering the number of brown recluse spiders found in the homes in this study without envenomation for bite diagnoses in non-endemic recluse territory to be correct, non-endemic areas would need to support hundreds to thousands of brown recluse spiders. In contrast, in non-endemic areas, typically no brown recluse populations are known, and verified finds are less than 10 per state. So that research indicates that the medical professionals have misdiagnosed lesions as bites from the spider. Again, let me cite back to this, and every time I show this map, I get so much hate. Listen, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I'm just telling you, if you are in this area, congratulations, you are in a very small area of the world that actually has brown recluse. Now, these are other species of recluse, but the actual brown recluse is in this red bubble only. And there are other species of recluse throughout the world, like Chilean, I think. There's quite a few. But anyway, so if you are up in the East Coast, right up here, and you are getting diagnosed with a brown recluse bite, you're not. I'm sorry. And this is when people get really angry at me. The problem with brown recluse is that their bites are often misdiagnosed when it's really MRSA or staph. When a spider or any break in skin occurs, these germs get inside and they become a staph infection or MRSA, and those get really nasty really fast. Those are definitely life-threatening. If not treated, you could definitely lose a limb from an infection like that. And for a long time, the brown recluse was blamed for these infections. Doctors would take a look and they say, that's a brown recluse bite, you got bit by a brown recluse, you got bit by a spider. And this is how like that hysteria really developed. So this entomologist, Rick Vetter, actually teamed up with some Missouri doctors and did an entire study about how common it is for doctors in other areas where brown recluse aren't even endemic to diagnose brown recluse bites. And we're going to talk to a doctor. Anyway, this really goes on to say, in non-endemic recluse areas, more proof of recluse involvement, i.e. verification of Loxosceles spiders at the specific alleged envenomation locale, should be required before the wound is attributed to brown recluse spiders. And then it even says, as well as being misdiagnosed, it's also known that the brown recluse spider bites aren't even too serious either. When they do occur, bites are rarely as serious as they have been portrayed, the Illinois Department of Public Health explains. Some bites produce only localized redness and swelling. Severe necrosis probably occurs in less than 10% of cases and may result more from bacterial infection of the wound rather than the reaction to the spider's venom. They are medically significant to a very, very, very small percentage of people who actually suffer a bite, which is just uncommon to even happen in the first place. Let me just cite this study. Thousands of brown recluse, 0 bites. The reason for this is because they are very reclusive. They're great at hiding. They're very fast. And also they have a really small fangs. And just holding a brown recluse, just having a brown recluse run on you, they're not going to be able to pierce your skin without having some kind of pressure applied. So in the event that a brown recluse bite does actually happen, it's usually because the spider is getting like pressed against them. Like say you're putting on shoes, it's in your shoe, or maybe even you're sleeping in bed and you start to roll over on one. It could get you that way. But yeah, just typically they're not prone to biting at all. They're not aggressive. They're not even defensive. Their defense is to just bolt. Like I said, these news articles have been just coming out like crazy lately, and people have been sending it to me. Yeah, I mean, it's not telling me anything that I didn't already know, because the study, if you click it, pops open this article, which I'm actually very familiar with, because if you look at the name right here, Richard S. Vetter, literally just citing a study from 2002. I'm not complaining, because any sort of good attention we can get towards spiders, and especially the most feared one, brown recluse, is a positive to me. But don't just take it from me, and don't just take it from this awesome book. I also wanted to bring on an actual medical professional, which many of you guys probably already know.
Hey guys.
And we're just gonna ask him a couple questions about what he thinks about the brown recluse.
Hi guys, today I'm Dr. Dalal, and Dr. Dalal is because before Tarantula Cribs, I was actually doing like full-time hospital medicine, and then Tarantula Cribs got really busy and I kind of cut back a little bit. But that said, I still have had a pretty good experience in the hospital and in the ER talking about spider bites.
So welcome. So what are your thoughts on this study that I sent you and all these news articles about the brown recluse and what they're saying?
So, you know, it's really interesting because brown recluse often get a bad rap, and they're always in the news and they're always sensationalized. They just get a bad rap. Most of the time when people come in with a spider bite, it's not even a spider bite. 9 times out of 10, it's something else, either a skin infection or, you know, another type of injury, and spiders just get the blame. Now, especially if you're not living in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and you get a spider bite, you really gotta question yourself. Is it really a spider bite or is it something else?
So have you ever dealt with like a confirmed brown recluse bite? working in like the ER or the hospital?
No, the real answer is no, because in order to confirm a spider bite, the patient actually has to bring the spider in, and that rarely ever happens, and that's never happened in my experience, and I've seen thousands of patients, and most of the time it's just a skin infection. Now, that said, even if it is a confirmed spider bite, they bring the spider in, there's the bite, a clear bite, 9 times out of 10, over 90% of the time, you don't need to do anything about it. Most people are just fine. Now, if there's an underlying condition, if they have a genetic predisposition to getting a severe reaction, that can happen, but that's less than 1% of the time. 1% of people who actually get a confirmed spider bite actually get the necrotic center lesion, and most of the time it's very tiny. Who gets those lesions, who doesn't get those lesions, all depends on genetics. Some people are more prone to it. The same way some people are prone to blood clots. Those people who are prone to blood clots are more prone to the necrosis or the black center, because what's happening is there's little blood clots in that center. None of this is medical advice, so if you get bit, go see your doctor, because Kat and I are not responsible for it.
So, if you were to get bit by a brown recluse, how would you like react to that? Like, what would your concerns be? What would you do?
So me personally, if myself or my kids even got bit, and I knew it was a spider, I saw the spider was a confirmed bite, I would watch them, and if they are showing or I'm showing any signs of a secondary infection, then I would need antibiotics. But other than antibiotics for a secondary infection, there's not too much to do other than just kind of watch and wait. If you are allergic to the venom, that's a whole different scenario, and that's not necessarily a result of the recluse venom itself. That's if you have a general venom allergy, you can become anaphylactic, and that in itself is life-threatening. Singling out brown recluse, that can be for any venom.
Yeah, like, so you don't see people like terrified of strawberries or something.
Right. And so if you go anaphylactic, you definitely need medical attention, but otherwise, you can kind of watch it and wait. And again, it's not medical advice, but it's what I would do for myself. And if I saw that there was a secondary infection, at that point you get antibiotics, but you don't need antibiotics if there's no sign of infection. If you at home think you got bit by a brown recluse, first check where you are, if you're in Missouri, Arkansas, or Oklahoma. But if you didn't see the spider, it could be something else. So in the case that it is something else, you might need to get checked out, because if you can't confirm your spider bite, then it might be an infection, and that should be checked out.
Would you rather be bit by a brown recluse or a black widow?
I think a brown recluse.
I agree.
Probably. Same.
Black widows are apparently like really painful, but I mean, there is like, do people even use the anti-venom for black widows? Have you like ever even heard of that?
No, I know. So most of the hospitals that I've worked at don't even stock it. I think it would be like something special you'd have to get.
Yeah, but brown recluse, they don't even have an anti-venom. Like, they didn't even make one because it's not something that is really necessary. But yeah, hopefully you guys, now you don't just take my word for it, you take his as well. And thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. So there you guys have it. Here's an updated brown recluse video, and I hope this helped anybody out who's scared, who's living with brown recluse in their homes, who has a fear. It's okay to be a little nervous. It's definitely okay to kick the recluse out of your house. And I understand that they can infest. And so, you need to take some kind of measures at some point, because nobody wants to deal with that, especially, when you have kids, because I mean, you worry about everything. Like, I get it. I'm a spider enthusiast and lover, but I'm also a mom, and I get it. And, I don't want people to totally freak out. So hopefully this eases some fears. Be wary, be careful, but it's not what it's made out to be. That's just kind of what I want to put out there. A lot of those horror stories you hear weren't even from a brown recluse. Please don't throw tomatoes at me though, please. I know everybody gets so mad at me when I say this. Like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're not, and you want to be. Don't forget I have an Instagram to use probably way too much. It's at Tarantula.Kat. You can go follow me there. I also have a website, TarantulaKat.com. Check it out. I will see you guys soon. Let's get into the members picks.